Well, welcome. This is day 2 of Jofia Academy webinar. Yesterday, we started day 1, July edition of our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, for those of us that have joined us for a few minutes now. Thank you for joining us. And here we are for another exciting section. Yesterday was a big, exciting moment, and thank you so much. We trust God that this evening it will still come out excellently well. So Jofia Academy is actually a training center in Lekki. It's actually a training center in Lekki, Lagos, where we take students from Nigerian exams, foreign exams, and computer courses, from zero computer to tech world, where we teach Excel, PowerPoint, graphics, video editing, UI, UX, front end, back end, as well as ethical hacking, cyber security, as well as UI, UX, and digital marketing. For Nigerian exams, we cover programs like Preparation for JAMB, WAEC, NECO, WOSUTME, as well as adult education. As much as Nigerian exam, we also take through foreign exams, where we cover SAT, IELTS, test for English, GMAT, GRE. And we believe God this evening, as we take one of our courses to spice our thoughts and our minds. We believe that every one of us that is on call this hour, and many that will be joining us, we will enjoy the informative section of this very topic. So this very hour, I'll be making welcome our facilitator for this evening. We started yesterday, day 1, on computer systems and operation. And this evening, I'll make welcome Mr. Victor to continue the section for this very moment. Okay, we'll be coming up shortly. We'll be coming up shortly. Like I said, this is coming to us from Jofia Academy, where we cover Nigerian exams, preparing students for JAMB, preparing students for WAEC, preparing students for major O-level exams, as well as preparing for IELTS, tests for English, GRE, GMAT, many of those foreign exams. And we also take students on Nigerian courses, which includes WOSUTME, that help students to get admission into Nigerian exams and Nigerian universities and foreign universities. And this evening, we'll be taking one of our courses. Program started in the beginning of the year. Every month, at the end of the month, like this, the last Friday of the month and the last Saturday of the month, we take through the courses where we bring up one of the topics, subjects that we take in the center. Like I said, we teach front end, we teach back end, we take graphic courses, we take video editing courses, cyber security courses, as well as UI, UX. UI, UX. These are major tech courses. And so many out there. By the grace of God, we'll be teaching one of those topics to encourage us in this tech world. We'll not just be watching, we'll not just be listening, we should be stepping out to learn, to develop ourselves into these courses. They are not as difficult as we can imagine. They are things that we can all launch into, and gradually we become a master. So this evening, We'll try as much as can to be very attentive to listen to the instructor, ready to unleash for this evening section. Yesterday, we started on computer systems and operations, where we were encouraged and introduced with different types of the computer hardwares, computer softwares, the peopleware, malware, and different aspects of the computer world. And this evening, we'll be enlarging on those areas and deepening our thoughts into this aspect of it. We'll deepen ourselves into these courses. We'll be deepening our thoughts into these major courses. So let's sit tight. Let's sit tight to understand some of these major terminologies. And when we understand them, it's easier to fly in this tech world. These are the foundations. These are the basics. These are the major tools that we must engage ourselves to move on. These are the foundations. These are the basics that we must engage ourselves to move on. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Those of us that were with us yesterday and joining again this evening, we appreciate your presence and we encourage us to relax. Can as well get your notes. So there are so many things that will be opening up to us this evening that we need to enlarge our minds, broaden our thoughts, explore the world of the tech world as to get better and stronger. It is so important that we equip ourselves. This is not just time of setting goals. It's a time of taking steps in those set goals that we have put up. What are the goals for year 2025? What are the things that we are planning to achieve in the year? If training is part of it, this is a major privilege where we are learning for free, where we are being inspired to take another step, to launch into higher heights, to get into greater insights to these major courses. So important. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma, for that fantastic introduction. We welcome everybody once again for today's edition for July Free Tech webinar, Jofia Academy. All right. The theme for this edition is computer systems and operations, as we started yesterday. And I'm going to take a simple recap on what we have yesterday. I'm going to take a simple recap. Yesterday, we were able to tell us what a computer system is. Computer system is a set of hardware and software. And when we component of the computer, hardware, we mean the part of the computer system or the part of the computer that you can see and you can touch. What you can see, any part of the computer that you can see and touch, the likes of your desktop, monitor, your laptops, your keyboard, your mouse, scanner, printer, down to every other minute, component like the flash drive, the external hard drive, and every other aspect of the computer system that you can see and touch, referred to as the hardware. So yesterday we were able to discuss and able to explain that hardware is basically categorized into internal components and external components. The external components actually are the ones that you can see that I've mentioned: the monitor, the system unit casing, the keyboard, the mouse, and also the printer, be it input devices or output devices. When we say input devices, are the aspects that you help in inputting data, sending data to the computer system, right? What helps to display, bring out the output is known as the output devices. So all of that are the external hardware parts. Now the internal hardware parts are the ones that are embedded in the system units, in the system casing, which is popularly known as the CPU, central processing unit. So we have several components there within that system unit. We have motherboard, we have the port channels. When I say ports, I mean where you can put the USB other ports, maybe HDMI ports for your screen, your monitor screen, or for projector screen. So your port channels, your motherboard, the microprocessor, the chips, where you can insert your RAM, you can place your ROM, which is the hard drive. So all of that are the internal components, because you need to open the system units. You need to open the computer to see it is internalized. Okay, also we talked about software. We talk about software, and which is the set of instructions and programs that helps in running the computer. When we say software, what software basically means is the set of instructions and programs, the codes, be it system software, as was said yesterday, or application software. So when we say system software, we mean the instructions, the guides, the programs that the computer manufacturer has programmed to the computer in ensuring that in ensuring the running of the computer. When we say instructions and code or programs, what we mean is that is the way the computer is designed. That governs the running of the computer. That is what oversee. An example of a system software is operating system. An operating system, as we know, is that system software that serves as a platform for the operations and the running of the computer. We have several operating systems. We have Windows, as was said yesterday. We have Windows. We have iOS, macOS. We have Android. Android is an operating system. Then we also have Linux or Ubuntu. So, you know, applications in a Mac OS, I mean, applications in a MacBook, in an Apple laptop, those applications will not work in Windows laptop. When we say Windows laptop, I mean, your laptop, maybe be it HP, be it Dell, be it Toshiba or Acer, all of that are Windows laptop. Applications, maybe it's a browser, maybe it's your MS Word, maybe it's Excel, maybe it's in games. All the applications that are running on a Windows laptop will not run on a MacBook and vice versa. So that is what we call operating system. That is, the system only operates in a specific platform. And that has been designed and programmed by the computer's manufacturer. So then the other part, which is application software, on that software, it's basically the applications I've talked about. And maybe it's your games, your MS Word, what the users uses. What the users, the computer users, or people where anybody that is operating the computer or that is making use of the computer is known as the people where. So what the people where make use of is called application software. What helps the running, the operation of the computer, the operating of the computer is known as the system software. So I think that if you have any question on that, I'll just put that on the chat box. So then same yesterday we talked about people where okay, if I continue, let me see this. I'll be dropping a few questions on the chat box so that I want the session to be interactive. So I will drop some questions on the chat box so that we can answer on the chat box. And be sincere, if you don't know, if you don't actually know the answer, you can also put no idea or I'm not really familiarized with this. I'm not really conversant with it, so that I will be able to evaluate what has been taught. It's not, as I said, it's not how much or how far the teachings is. It is how well the audience, the listeners can grab. It is how well the listeners can, find it educative and informative. So progress. So on peopleware, yesterday as well, we talked about peopleware to be users of computers, computer professionals, people that, make use of computer at different levels or different phases. We have data analysts, we have cybersecurity experts, we have developers, content developer, backend developer, mobile developers. We have designers, maybe graphic designers or UI UX designer. We have digital marketers. We have system analysts. We have network administrators. We have database administrators. We have IT support engineers. We have network engineers. We have AI engineer, machine learning engineers. So we have several, not hundreds, of fields or professionals in the computer world. I mean to say in the tech world. So even computer educators, we have computer operators. So there are many like that. So all of that are referred to as peopleware. And let me emphasize on this, that peopleware is actually part of, is actually part of the computer system. Peopleware is actually part of the computer system. So when you're talking about computer systems, apart from or alongside hardware and software, you should always refer. You should always also talk about peopleware in the discussion of computer systems. This is very, very important. Okay, you see the background picture in my profile. The background picture of my profile in my video rather. It's actually explaining what the computer system together with the peopleware is all about. You see people trying to operate the computer with their laptops, people trying to operate the computers on the physical hardware, on on a large computer system, like that, like that. So all of them are what's referred to as the computer system as a whole. Excuse me, somebody is giving him a chat there. So what is that a question or? Oh, exactly. You're right. People ways is uh, people expect is spelled people then WARE exactly. I'm trying to fix my slide. I think in the network is not making me sharing my slide at the moment. In a few minutes I'll be able to fix that. So you see the spellings and you see the words. I have to show the words speedily on that. Okay, thank you for that. So the spelling for people where is that. So as many that have as I said, today's session is going to be interactive based on the basic that I've taught and the basic that we all need to understand and know. So I'm dropping the first question, which says distinguish between computer hardware and software. Computer hardware and software. Then yesterday we talk about computer memory, versus computer storage. You can see something on this. All right. So as many of us join the chat, I want us to I want us to participate, want to participate in these questions, in this chat, in these questions. It's very, very important. It's for evaluations. So I will delighted when if you can all participate in the questions in the chat box. So I give you a minute for that so that I can see your response and we can evaluate on that. Okay, thank you so much, madam, for that charge. And thank you for also inputting, or I mean, answering some of the questions in the chat from your explanations and the overview. All right. I'm expecting our response in the chat. That's to evaluate how much we'll be following or how well we'll be following so far. The major key or goal is to ensure that the audience, the listeners, are actually grabbing some informations and taking and participating in the webinar section, so that we can ensure ascertain that it is informative and it is educative. Okay. So as I said, we've run some wrap up on types of computer system, where I've talked about the hardware. Yes, I've done a wrap up on that. Then, as well as the software. So also a wrap up on the peopleware. All this has been done yesterday. And the YouTube link, the link to this webinar is on YouTube. Search for Geoffrey Academy webinar. So every of our webinar section is being streamed and sent to YouTube. All right. So if you need to learn through, maybe you have some gaps or you miss some part of it, you can go back and learn accordingly. All right. So we've addressed software and this is peopleware that I said I just finished explaining. Peopleware, this is spelling. Someone asked for the spelling on the group chat. All right. I said they are computer users and professionals. So the first one thing that has to do with the role of people in the development or use of computer systems. While hardware and software are essential, they are useless without the human elements to design, develop, operate, and utilize them. So we have several, people with computer professionals. So, all right. So that same yesterday, we talked about malware, and malware is short for malicious software. Is any software designed to cause disruption, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system or network. This is for those that are just joining today. So it encompasses a wide range of harmful programs, including viruses, worms, trojans, ransomware, and spyware, all with the goal of causing disruption, stealing information, or gaining unauthorized access. Okay. Malware can spread through various means, including email attachments, infected websites, downloads from untrusted sources, and even by connecting to infected networks. It can cause a wide range of problems, including data loss, system slowdowns or downtimes, unauthorized access to sensitive information, and even complete system shutdown. Okay. Protecting against malware involves using reputable antivirus software, avoiding suspicious websites and downloads, keeping software updated, and practicing safe online habits. So yesterday we expatiate on the types, the major types of malware. We have the ransomware, which blackmails you. We have the hardware, which spams you with ads. We have the worms spread across computers. We have trojans, sneak malware onto your PC. We have botnets. Okay, today we'll be elaborating on firmware, which is the last part of computer system. We have firmware. Basically, when we say firmware is simply the combination of software and hardware. Firmware is the point at which software is embedded into the hardware. It's the point in which the software is embedded into the hardware, and we can see that in the system units. In the system units, that for example, you see on the motherboard, which is the biggest part of the system unit. You see that we have some component on that motherboard. You have something like chip. Example of what's on the screen is called chip, CHIP, microchips. Microchips or chip. So we have that to be technically known as microprocessor. That is the major component that processes the data in your CPU. And that is what we are referring as firmware. Okay. Firmware is essentially software embedded within hardware devices that provides low-level control and manages basic functions. It acts as a bridge between the hardware and software, enabling devices to start up, interact with other components, and perform essential tasks. Now, what does that mean? It acts as a bridge between the hardware and the software. What that means is that most of your hardware, they are connected to the software at the point of the firmware. Now, let me explain that this way. The motherboard is popularly known as what? Or is commonly known as panel. Many of you call it panel, but it's called circuit board or motherboard. So what we all know popularly is panel. Now, that panel is composed of a lot of electronics. When we say electronics, I mean maybe a resistor, capacitor, and the likes of them. So all of them are joined to a central component called microprocessor, microchip. Now, that microprocessor you are seeing, the computer manufacturer programmed some software that will operate the computer. That microprocessor is an hardware. Do you understand? So, using some advanced technology to program software into a hardware component. Do you understand? So that hardware component now becomes a firmware. Do you understand? Any hardware component, okay, let me put this way. Any hardware component, do you understand? Or whenever a software is embedded within hardware components, that is, that hardware is connected to a software. That particular hardware is known as a firmware. Now, which means that microprocessor is a firmware. I don't know if you didn't understand that, you can signify in the chat box. It is very, very compulsory that we understand this particular aspect. Very, 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 very compulsory. So if you don't understand what I just explained, you can please you can signify on the chat box. So let me go again. By definition, firmware is a type of software program that is embedded into hardware devices. It provides the instructions that the hardware needs to operate. Firmware helps hardware to other devices. Let's say the moment you attach a mouse that's having you're having a cord now. The moment you attach a mouse to your laptop, do you understand? You are already communicating the hardware to your computer system. And technically, all of those things are done by firmware as as a computer literate or a computer user or a computer professional. It is important that you need to be aware or to know that hardware that are being run by software are known as what? Are known as firmware. So, all right. Though we have people called firmware engineers, we have people called hardware engineers. So I think they need the depth knowledge of this aspect. But as a general computer literate, you need to be familiarized that, okay, when software are embedded within hardware devices, when software are used to program hardware devices, they become firmware. So just a simple, terminology. Okay. Key aspect of firmware, we have low-level control. When we say low-level control, low-level programming language is what firmware understand. It is what we used to program, or we used to build firmware. Low-level programming language. Yesterday, I talked about programming language. That is, there are languages that we use in developing or in developing applications or in creating solutions. So programming language, we have some that are low level, we have some that are what? High level. The low level are the ones that work with the hardware, while the high level are the ones that needs a translator before they can be understood by the computer. Why most of the cases, the low level don't need a translator, or just need a less translator than the high level programming language. So that is that. Then another key aspect of firmware, which I've said before, they are embedded in hardware, and they have basic functionality. The basic functionality is just to make the hardware, just to make the devices work along with the computer systems, and to perform specific tasks. To perform what? Specific tasks, like your microprocessor now, that is the major component. That is the major component that processes the data in your CPU. There's a central, on the motherboard, there's a central component that looks like this. Look at what we have on the screen. This green image. There's a central component that looks like this. This particular component is called a microchip or microprocessor. You need to be aware of that. You need to be familiarized with that. So there's a particular component on your motherboard, on your panel, on your computer panel. I don't know, maybe you are following. So that's that is referred to as what? Microchip. Examples of functions firmware might control. The firmware, they control device startup process. Maybe your booting. They control communication between hardware components. So whenever your mouse is controlling your laptop, you should know that it is firmware that is happening there, because a software is connected to hardware at that point. Whenever your keyboard is controlling your system, you should know that what? Firmware is involved. So basically, it's just like firmware is just an intermediary, because hardware cannot be separate, software cannot be separate. So combining the two is what? Is firmware. So now I can basically say computer system is firmware. A computer system is composed of firmware. I'm not wrong by saying that. I don't know, maybe we are following. If you have any question, as I said, you can put it on the chat box. All right, battery management or optimization is also a basic function of that firmware. Then we have peripheral connection management. Maybe you are connecting your flash drive, or you are connecting a scanner or a light pen. Then if you want to connect network connectivity using router, maybe you have a LAN cable. You have a LAN cable. When I say LAN cable, that's your network device that you are using in your house or you are using in your organization, and it's coming with a cable. You can also what plug it in your computer or laptop. All right. So that such connectivity are controlled by firmware. So all of these functions on the board, what I'm trying to say, all of these functions on the board are controlled by firmware, because there's a collaboration between hardware and software. All right. Device configuration and settings memory. Maybe you are working with RAM, or you are working with hard drive and hard drives, either internal or external. So that is also firmware. You can see that largest percentage of everything that happens in the computer system is firmware. That is what this session is talking about. All right. Basic security and encryption. Whether you are trying to make your computer be secured in the aspect of though that is basically done on the system software, your operating system. Your operating system will cover that. So which means that even your operating system is still linked to the firmware, because everything is linked to your microprocessor. And I've already told you that microprocessor is the super firmware in your computer. The microprocessor, which is the core aspect of the CPU. And that is a firmware on its own. In fact, that is the major firmware in your computer system. All right. Then hardware error detection. If your keyboard is failing, if your mouse is failing, it's not working, it is the function of the firmware to detect that, to indicate that. Okay. Now, the last aspect we are going into in this session is, do you know your computer? Do you know how to operate the computer you are using? So let's see as many of us that let's see as many of us that can operate our computer, and or that actually know the is our computer. Okay. Okay, firstly, the first thing you need to know about computers is that how are computers categorized? Computers are classified or categorized based on size and capacity. There's another classification that is centered on functions. I mean, the function that computer is doing. Then another classification is based on what? On purpose. On what? Purpose. This computer is just for this purpose. I don't know, maybe we are following. All right. Quick one. Based on size and capacity, the smallest computer is what? Is microcomputer. The smallest computer is microcomputer, and it is, okay, let me show you what that looks like. In microcomputer, we have desktop, laptop on your laps, laptop, and what? Palm top on your palm, your hand. Do you understand? So that's microcomputer. That is the smallest form of computers. On the screen, you can see a lot of images. Now, the last part is the microcomputers, where you can see your laptops, you can see your phones, your tablets, you can see your desktop. You can see, because you need to, if you want to be a computer literate, you need to know about the computers that we have. You need to know that, oh, this particular computer is a what? Is a laptop. If you are saying laptop, you should know that a laptop is different from a desktop. So that is what we are trying to profile in this session. So we have that. So your phone I said it yesterday. Your phone, the phone you have in your hand is a what? Is a computer, and it's referred to as what? It is referred to as palm top because it is in your palm. All right. Okay. Somebody dropped an answer on the chat box. Melon pot. Melon pot. He or she said memory. He or she said memory RAM is a temporary data holding device. That is, for example, random access memory RAM. All right, that is fantastic. Then storage is a long what? Data retention, right? That's not what you said. Storage is a long data retention. Okay, that is correct. That is correct. Well done. Well done. If you have another statement on this answer, you can still drop it. I mean, someone else can still answer on the same question to see another way in which you can answer the question. Okay, that's fantastic. Well done. So storage, it is long-term. But there's a word I need. Not just long-term. I need another word. I need another word for that. Okay, temporary is okay. Temporary data holding device. That's for memory. That's okay. So that's for microcomputer, which is the smallest computer. Then the next computer we have, based on types and capacity, is mini computer. Is a mini computer. So we have okay, let me take it back. So the next computer type is mini computer. We have that as okay. Mini computer, they are bigger than the microcomputer. They are bigger than your desktop, your laptop. They are bigger than your palm top, but they are smaller than your mainframe computer. They are smaller, and they are major. They are used by organizations for processing massive amounts of data. They are used for in businesses and organizations for what? For processing average to massive amount of data, often handling in critical applications. Do you understand? So then for mainframe computer, they are bigger than both mini computer and microcomputer. So why they're also used in large organizations for simulations and complex calculations. So let me show you what that means. So to the right, okay, before the to the bottom left is the mini computer. Bottom right is the microcomputer as it is labeled. Then above the microcomputer is what we have the mainframe computers. Above the microcomputer, we have the mainframe. This is how a mainframe computer looks like. It looks like a wardrobe, like a cupboard. So and it's a computer. It's used by organizations and businesses for making complex calculations and simulations. I don't know, maybe you get that. All right. Then lastly, based on size and capacity, we have what we call supercomputers. They are the most powerful computers and the biggest computers. So we have them as the first two on this screen. The first two, you see that a whole building is containing just a computer. If you can see that clearly, a whole building, look at these first two images on the screen. You see that they are very, very big and massive. They are used for complex calculations and simulations, and they are mostly used for what? For cloud services. When we say cloud, that is where that is a database. Let me say a virtual database, a database that is virtual, that you cannot have in your local environment. Okay, let me put it this way. I'm very sure that everyone in this webinar session has a Facebook account, right? Okay. Have you ever wondered or asked yourself or asked somebody that the pictures and videos that I sent to Facebook, today now I'm celebrating birthday, I send my picture to the Facebook or video. Where are those pictures and videos? Where are they being stored? Because like another time I might want to download them again, I will see them again. They're always there. They are stored, right? So where exactly are they stored? I don't know, maybe you have ever wondered that, oh, my pictures, in fact, even my uploads, my charts, whatever I have, where are they being stored? On the Facebook or Instagram or any social media platform? The answer to the question is that they are stored in something we call cloud. They are stored in something we call what? Cloud environment, cloud platform. We have several cloud platforms. We have AWS, we have Azure, we have Google cloud platform. We have a lot of them. So now, in a simple definition, I can say a cloud is a virtual database environment which can make data and information public, made public. Do you understand? It can be made, visible to the public and put that way, right? So that means that when you upload your pictures and videos, it is being stored in what we call virtual database. That is, it is just virtual. It is just online. You can only get access to it, and it is being stored based on internet. So that environment, that cloud environment, needs a very massive computer. So example of computers that are used for developing cloud environments are supercomputers. So that is one of the relevance of understanding what computers is used for this, what computer is used for that. So as a computer literate, it is very paramount that you understand all these rudiments, all these foundational knowledge that are attached to what? To computer literacy. Just understand? So before you want to be an analyst, you want to be a developer, you want to be, there's some, fundamental knowledge about computer that it is a prerequisite and, a criteria in starting out in tech. And that is why we have, brought up a topic like this and to give an elaborate explanation on it. Okay. So back to classification of computers. Another classification of computer is analog computer, that is based on what? On functions, what they do. Analog computer, digital computer, and hybrid computer, based on the work or the orientation, how the computer looks like, so to say. An analog computer is a computer that it is based on manual operations, manual process. If you go to the hospital, you see that if your doctor wants to know that is this person ill, is he sick or something, they bring out something that looks like a pen. They shake it and they put it in your armpit, because that armpit region is always warm water. So now that device is called thermometer, right? We know that clinical thermometer, but that is an analog clinical thermometer for measuring what? Or detecting your temperature. They shake it and try to look at the calibration and see that, oh, this is the patient's temperature. But the digital form of that same device is the digital thermometer called thermistor or something. That one is the okay, I don't know, maybe during the coronavirus, some people put something on your head to check your temperature. It's the same thing. That is also a digital thermometer. So all of them are computers because they can make your work done faster and easier, and more accurate. Instead of me putting my hand as a doctor in your neck and check your temperature, I can't even know what that temperature is by putting my hand on your neck. Do you understand? I'd rather use something called computer. So a computer is any device that could make your work be done accurately, make your work be done easier, faster, and more effectively. It's for achieving and for getting solutions. All right. So I've been able to distinguish between analog and digital computer by using that thermometer. So the thermometer, that is digital thermometer, is pointed on your head. It's pointed on your head, and it has discrete values. It has digital value. You can check the 36.9. You can check 37.5. So it's going to give you an accurate value. It's more accurate than analog computer. So that's the difference. So simply saying, analog is what? Analog is manual. Any manual process. Maybe you want to another example is you want to buy fish. You use a scale. So that scale has an handle that turns to 1, 2, 3 kg. That's an analog, because it's the weight of the what, or the weight or mass of the fish. And there's another one that is digital too. If you want to buy gas, you see some people using digital scale. They place your gas cylinder, they place it on the digital weight, and they see the exact value. So I'm trying to buttress on the differences between analog and digital. All right. So analog is manual, and digital is what? Is electronic and more accurate, giving discrete values. Now, hybrid is a combination of analog and digital computer. An example of an hybrid computer is, anybody can put that on the chat box. An example of hybrid computer is the fueling station, the fueling machine. The fueling machine physically make use of your what? Of the nozzle. Do you understand? It makes use of a nozzle in fetching what? In fetching the petrol from the what? From the reservoir to your containers or to your cars. And at the same time, it is calculating the liters and the price digitally. So it's doing both manual job and digital job at the same time. So that is an example of an hybrid computer. Another example of an hybrid computer is ATM machine. An ATM machine gives you money manually, and at the same time, it's recording a digital, the amount you want to collect, the amount you want to pay, who you are transferring to, account number. So it's working both digital and manually, because money is being stored there and it's being retrieved manually. So money is being stored and money is being stored and retrieved manually, and at the same time, it operates digital. So, digital. Okay. The aspect of classification of computer is based on purpose. What is the purpose which is computer is being created or being manufactured? This is a bit simple anyway. The computer, a general computer. Let me start from general computer. General computer are computers that are general to the public. They have the same function everywhere. Like the laptop I'm using right now is general. Everybody uses it for the same function. But special computers are computers that are made specially for specific purpose. Maybe they are made for server, for networks. ATM machine, sorry, is a special computer because it's only made for further financial purpose. I can't use an ATM to be typing or to making to develop website or something. No, you understand? So ATM machine is a special computer. Servers, a computer used for in the server rooms, in the data centers. In fact, supercomputers are special computers because they're massive and sophisticated functions for cloud services, for a lot of things at the data center there. Do you understand? So that is an example of special computers. But the computers that are generic, that are that everybody, general people or people use generally for the same function, like your laptop, your desktop, your phones, they are examples of general computer. So by now, I feel I can say that you all know your computer. So now, if I say, do you know your computer? You should answer Yes, I know my computer. The second question now, do you know how to operate the computer you are using? Generally, everybody knows how to operate their phones, which is the component computer everybody has. But when it comes to desktop and laptop, we have some, we have some a bit intricacy there. The first thing you need to do when you have a computer, desktop or laptop, is to switch it on. What we call that booting. We call that what? Booting. Let me go to the slide. We have that. So we call that booting. There are two types of booting. So now this takes us to system operations and management, how to operate your computer system and how to manage it. All right. The first thing you need to know in your computer is what? Is booting. And there are two types of booting. You have the cold booting and warm booting. What is cold booting? When you are booting your computer, when it is shut down, your computer is cold, it's not working, you shut it down, maybe after a while or whatever. That is a cold booting. It's cold. It's cold, so that is cold booting. And when you are using your computer and you want to restart, that is a warm booting, because your computer is still warm at that moment. It's still warm, so it's called warm booting. The next thing to know when you are operating your computer is file management. How to navigate to your applications, how to file, how to create a file, how to name a file, how to rename a file. So those are the aspects that we need to understand in ensuring that we can operate the computer system. Then the next one is user management. As a user, you need to be able to put password in your computer for safety and security. You put a password. You might want to change your profile name of the computer. You might want to change the setting, maybe the display. If your computer is too dim or is too bright, you change. So user management, that is how you are using the computer, you manage it. Then security operations is also connected to the user management, in which you need to set a password. Then aside that, under security operations, you need to input an antivirus. In as much as you go online to do one or two, you click on websites, you download, you upload. So you need an antivirus to secure your computer operations. All right, the last one here is software and system. How to install software, a particular software in your system, maybe your MS Word, your CorelDRAW, or your Excel. So how to install softwares. So all of that is embedded into system operations and management. It shows that you by doing all of this, that you can become a computer operator. You can operate a computer properly and confidently. Okay. So now I anticipating as much questions, because that's the end of this session. So as much questions that you have, you can drop them on the chat box so that I can attend to that speedily. So let's put questions and contributions in the chat box. Let's put our questions and contributions in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So I'll be handing over to Madam for a wrap up. Okay, somebody drop a question on the chat box saying, while we are talking of memory and storage, please explain the relevance of the terms bytes, gigabytes, Can you teach on how do I know a computer that is small or big in size for assignment, for an assignment? Though I didn't get the last statement, the last part of the statement. Okay, but talking about memory and storage, all right, memory actually is, you know, the temporary storage. I mean to say the temporary holding device or the temporary section of your computer when the computer is actively working. That is what is called memory. At that time you are using your computer, maybe you are using your Chrome, you are using your Zoom, you are using your Microsoft Edge, and you are using Microsoft Word. Those applications that are opened are using some level of memory, computer memory. And that this computer memory you are talking about is referred to as RAM. Random access memory. That is, those applications will access the computer memory. Is that a log of that? Is that like that's a network issue there? All right. So as I was saying, memory has to do with the part of the computer memory, which is RAM, the part of the computer that, I mean, a memory has to do with temporary storage, the parts in which the computer is using, the part of the computer memory the computer is using at the moment. That's why we refer to it as temporary storage or temporary memory. So at that point whereby you open your Chrome, your Microsoft Word, you open your Zoom and other applications. So those applications are using a temporary memory as at that time, and that's what we refer to as RAM. So if you're using a 4 gig RAM, there's a limit to which applications that can be opened or that can be running at that time, that can be actively be working at that time. Then when we're talking about storage, all your applications, all your files are stored permanently. The person said long-term data retention, but I prefer to say permanent storage. That is how your files, your applications are stored permanently, except they are being deleted. So that is what we refer to as storage. Why the other one, memory, has to do with temporary memory, temporary running of your applications. So you also say, how can you teach on how do I know a computer that is small or big? All right. Well, okay, maybe this person is trying to say, how do I know that this is a big laptop or this is a small laptop? You need to check the storage, which is known as a ROM. When you check your storage, is it 256 gig storage? Is it 512 storage? Is it 320 storage? Is it 500 gig storage? So as you are checking the storage, you're also checking the memory. Is it 4 gig RAM? Because 8 gig RAM computer is better than is better and more effective in the sense that you can open a lot of applications at the same time, running at the same time, than a 4 gig RAM computer. Then if you're also using a 16 gig RAM computer, you can also do more than what? Than an 8 gig RAM computer. So the bigger the RAM, the bigger the effectiveness of the computer, the bigger the applications that can be run at the same time. Then the same thing goes for storage. Okay, storage has to do with how much quantity. What's the quantity of the files and applications that can be stored in my computer at the same time? So that's the explanation to that. Mail on port. I don't know, maybe that answers your question well.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Mr. Victor, for that section and the questions and interactions. Really, really appreciate everyone that made it despite the network challenges. We are still able to scale through this July edition. So just like we know, this is coming to us from Jofia Academy, a tutorial center here in Lekki, Lagos, where we take students for computer courses, for Nigerian exams, for foreign exams, as well as adult education, where we help children that have been out of school to return back by aligning them to the curriculum that helps them to go through the normal academic pursuit. We also help students for several online registration procedures, like NYSC registration, as much as Army Navy registration programs. So let's do our best to also be a part of it. It's a monthly program that holds online the last Friday of the month and the last Saturday of the month. We spice our day with few of the computer courses. Last month, we talked about digital marketing. The other time, it was cyber security. So by next month again, at the grace of God, we'll gather here also to pick one of the courses. And I believe some of us that are on call this evening would have gotten few knowledge to spice their day. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, the facilitator. Thank you for everyone on the crew, those of us that are behind the scene to make sure the slides to run, the internet system, the computer network to run all through. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. And all of us from Jofia Academy, I stand as Mrs. Sophia Kiwamu, the anchor person in this program. God bless you and see you again next month. And remember, this program is live on YouTube. You're free to watch and listen again and again to get it clearer. And if you have further questions to ask on anything that is not very clear, you're free to send us the question and it will be attended to. Thank you and God bless you. See you again in the next edition of our free webinar, the month of August. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much, Captain. Thank you, Joseph. Many tried to join, network affected them. Thank you and God bless you.